All right, folks, one more time here on the LA Sparks Network, and welcome in, folks, to the Fabulous Forum. I am privileged to be joined here by a duo in the Hangout, but also a trio of WNBA reporters and analysts here. Welcome in, folks, to the Fabulous Forum, live and in full here on the LA Sparks 365 Network. I'm joining you folks here from Studio 171 in San Diego. Joining me in studio via Apple's FaceTime is Chris Mancy at the Anaheim Studios of Anaheim, California. And like normal, our dynamite off-the-bench substitute broadcast team coming in to fill the void here as well. Crystal Thomas and Shorty Mamba 24 both joining us from Los Angeles. Good evening, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, I'll take that there's no comment about that, but hoping everyone out there, though, had a good night, perhaps, whether you were watching the game or VMAs or whatever else may have been on television across ESPN or whatever you may have been watching. But as we do get to the start here again, the LA Sparks, who see their 2014 season go up in flames as they are rolled tonight by the Phoenix Mercury, 93-68. Good evening, everybody, again. And we will start off tonight with Shorty Mamba 24, who's closest to me here in the Hangout, the bottom row here. But Shorty, I know you were flipping between the game and the VMAs, but personally, I think you should have watched the entire VMAs regardless of the score of the game tonight.
Maybe I should have, but I mean, regardless of what happened tonight, my love for the Sparks, just wouldn't let me fully turn away. Even though it was disastrous, it was horrific, it was like a car accident that I was literally watching in front of my eyes, but just my love for the team couldn't let me completely, shut them off tonight.
I think all of us in the Hangout and the one man on FaceTime all get the MVP award tonight for sitting through that whole game on television tonight. Crystal, I know it was tough for all of us to sit through that game, but how did you somehow compensate for the game watching that on television tonight? Chris, I know that you're right now watching the network live on your phone because you've had no real luck right now getting into our Hangouts for some reason because of your internet connection. But did you happen to survive all 40 minutes, or were you more so watching the Angel game on ESPN tonight?
Mostly watching the Angel game because pretty much just like my girlfriend did. My girlfriend got it so almost.
Well, before we move on here, Crystal and Shorty, I must ask you. Now, we know that Chris made the audacious/bold prediction of the Sparks going all the way to the 2014 WNBA Finals. So, Shorty, what should we do to punish Chris for his flopped 2014 playoff bracket this year?
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure. I may possibly leave that all up to you, but I will say though that I just loved his optimism. Even though we already knew what the results were going to be, I mean, it doesn't hurt to be, optimistic about their chances. That's just being a fan, and that's what fans do. But I'm going to leave that up to you.
Crystal, do you have any take in this of what the verdict should be for Chris's punishment here for the flopped 2014 playoff bracket? Right now we are thinking about what would happen on Around the Horn on ESPN. He would receive mutes every 5 seconds, or better, he will be the first contestant eliminated from our first open court show during the off season, so we'll work on that at a later time and date. But Shorty, I mean, there was like a minor ray of hope though for that first playoff game though, of optimism for everybody that the Sparks started hot in Game 1, fizzled out towards the end. But I think that Game 1 though proved that this series, if it went 2 or even went to Game 3, would not be a cakewalk for Phoenix. But tonight made me rethink that it was still a cakewalk for the Mercury even after Game 1. What was your thought, though, about how the Sparks played in Game 1 as opposed to Game 2 this evening?
I mean, I did say in a previous show that, I said that it wasn't going to be an easy series, but on LA's part, they were, they weren't scared of the Mercury, they weren't scared of their fans, so I knew they were going to come out and, play tough, play hard, and be ready to go. And with the game that they, with the kind of play that they displayed Game 1, we at least thought that they would come in and try to replicate what they did, but it seemed like not even at the start of the second half. I would say probably the first quarter. After the first quarter, they just waved the white flag. They gave up. I mean, they knew they just was ready for the season to be over, and that was the hard part of seeing this game tonight.
Crystal, I think Shorty is right, right on target here. I think she was right that the Sparks came out with a sense of hope that they could tangle with Phoenix and go toe-to-toe with them for the full 40 in Game 1, but tonight I think that they probably had exerted all their energy from Game 1. They looked like they were a bit tired and out of gas from Game 1 going to Game 2. And the start tonight proved to me that I think everybody, regardless if you had them going to the finals like Chris or if you thought it was going to end on Game 2, that I don't think we expected the Sparks to go down in flames like they did tonight, but I think, though, at the same time that I think everybody, though, was ready for the season to end, though, Crystal. What do you think, though, about that?
That, of course, has energy. Someone who, family that would love,
All right, there may have been some awkward times there, folks, but again, we've been having a few problems here with some audio problems, so we kind of apologize there was a long break in the action there. Chris, to you real quick, man, I know that Game 1 looked very promising for one deal, man, that, the Sparks started off so hot, but again, it seemed like they just fizzled out towards the end, and I think the team may have been overtired, over-fatigued perhaps, because I think they exerted so much energy to try to win Game 1 and try to come back and get the sweep somehow, Phoenix in Game 2, but I think the wheels came off late in Game 1, and I think that the wheels came off right off the opening tip to start Game 2, I think. What do you think, though?
I think Game 1, to get it off their heart, but they're all anxious. Didn't look like they.
Shorty, we're going to revisit a play that I think sent every fan into pissed-off mode, basically, when Diana Taurasi was originally assigned a flagrant 1 for basically throwing a block in the backfield of a football game on Nneka Ogwumike, knocking her down to the floor, and the referees reviewed it. And again, as I tweeted out, this was the second time this season between LA and Phoenix that a call against Taurasi went from being a flagrant, downgraded it to a common foul in the Sparks ball. Did the officials get that call right or wrong in your view?
I say, they got the call wrong. That should have been a flagrant, at least a flagrant 1. I mean, just the physicality that DT has, provided in this first round so far. We know she's going to play tough, but when it start getting, along the lines of being dirty, I mean, that's where the refs got to come in and, control the situation and, call the right calls. And I say that was not a right call.
Crystal, you have more of the basketball insight to us here, since you're a current player still. Did the officials screw up that call, though, in your view, about the basically the Taurasi fullback block on Nneka in the first quarter of the game?
Can you hear me? Before I get my answer?
Yeah, we can hear you better than we did, so you're good.
Yeah, we can hear you. About older, I think that was And that's, I was actually supposed to be a favorite. I had like 30 million exclamation marks. I don't know how they did it. If I would have tried that though, too, I'm gonna stop the red game and see if I get to play this. I'm gonna really cook.
Chris, I know you missed that point of the game because you were, stuck watching the Angels play on ESPN, which I think would have been a better draw for everyone to watch other than the Sparks-Mercury game in general here. But I know when you saw perhaps the replay on Twitter, I would assume, or the photo, do you think the referees got that call wrong of, again, downgrading that flagrant one to a common foul on Tarasi's fullback block on Ogumake?
No, right. Well, I saw that when I was watching that game before I turned to the game. I saw that they.
Shorty, I kind of like to sort of say that my number two favorite player, my number two favorite player, Diana Taurasi, is in some fashion she reminds me a lot of a pro hockey enforcer who's going to bop around, be in your face, and start trouble basically, and that's what she's tried to do in basically every game with the Sparks because she's just kind of built that way. I mean, I think the play was unnecessary, but I think that the referees did, in fact, screw that call up wrong. But I know a lot of people refer to her as Dirty Diana, but I think she's more so as a player. She's kind of like, she reminds me vaguely a lot of a hockey player that's the enforcer, that's out there to protect the star players and sort of start trouble, basically. Does she sort of fit that frame of mind, Shorty, in your view at all, or what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I would also add that she's also a boxer, so let's throw boxer up in there because, she likes to throw hands, elbows, toss players around, all of that. So, yes, I would fit all of that in together, in describing DT.
Crystal, what do you think? Does she sort of embody that of an MMA fighter, or what do you think it is?
She's a better because she does it for serious people. She's really long enough to know her. I think that one of the reasons why she's kind of committed is because all the players know about it. I would admit to my favorite player than
Shorty, as we sort of, get ready to put a bow on the season, in this game, it will be mentioned again that unfortunately the Sparks and Staples Center, Shorty, are once again a victim of a Brittany Griner slam dunk again at Staples Center. She did it back on July 6th, and for the first time in WNBA playoff history, we had a slam dunk in the postseason for the first time in 18 years. Shorty, I know every Sparks fan was irate that we saw the Griner dunk on the same floor where we saw the late, great Lisa Leslie do it back in 2001 in a game, in a blowout loss, I should mention, to the Miami Soul. This one, I think, Shorty, was just like the icing on the cake for Phoenix to get on to the next round. But again, seeing the Griner jam at Staples Center made you feel like what?
To be honest, I mean, now when the first time she did it at Staples, I was very, very pissed off. But tonight when she did it, at that with everything that was going on, the blowout loss, I mean, it just really didn't matter anymore. I know it probably still made a lot of Sparks fans pissed off, but for me in particular, the Sparks were already done, stick a fork in them. They were done. So that dunk just added salt to our wounds. But, yeah, I was pretty over it.
Crystal, what do you think? I think initially when the first time it happened, naturally you're going to be upset because, that Brittany Griner dunked in Lisa Leslie's house basically at Staples Center, where she did the feat, basically 13 years ago in a game that they were blown out by the Miami Soul, who's no longer around in the WNBA. But again, you see it here, it's sort of like, okay, I can kind of tolerate it now because, we're getting blown out of the water here. But what was your thoughts, though, about seeing BG dunk here in the postseason?
It was kind of great.
Oh, Boris, hang on, be right back.
I was expecting it. I was going to I'm not gonna lie. I get done too. I was okay. If I could do it, I would do it off the backboard, little 360. I'm good It's pretty tough.
I like this.
Shorty, I think, that we seem to realize that every dunk so far in league history has been on a breakaway, but maybe one or two with Griner. But I agree, though, with Crystal from what I caught, because, again, we're still having problems, folks, with our audio. It's not just one person, it's everybody. But, Shorty, do you agree, though, that there needs to be a bit more flavor in Griner's dunks from here on out now?
I 100% agree with Crystal because, I'm a dunk type of girl, watch a lot of NBA as well, and I love dunks. So, I'm crazy about dunks. And even though, I like a lot of Griner's dunks, I will, admit that, they're getting kind of played out in a sense because, she's doing the same kind of dunks over again. We have already seen from Lisa to CP3, they've all done the basic two-hand or CP's favorite, the one-handed dunk. And that's all, Brittany has been doing so far. I want to see more. I want to see at least a 360, an alley-oop, or something like that. We need to see more. And I agree that even casual fans that just, watch the WNBA, not die-hard fans, but casual fans from just time to time, they're too going to be easily, tired of just the basic, two-hand dunk from BG. People like seeing her hang on the rim, but we want to see more.
Guys, we're going to segue away now to a article that needs to be addressed to the fans and sort of begins to plan out 2015. We'll get to that, Bill, in just a moment. But, guys, real quick here, I would like to bring up this point here real quick about, as Shorty brought up here, about the casual fan viewership, that for the second consecutive year that the WNBA has recorded growth again for the second consecutive season. Now, Shorty, I will get to you first here, because I'm kind of scrambling to find the article here, because I know I saw it somewhere here on the league website. But, Shorty, to know, though, that there's more people getting involved in watching the WNBA in some fashion, is there, any room for error now that they have to have a third straight season of more and more growth again, or what do you think has to happen?
I say they're on a trend heading upward, but of course it's still not enough. They need more. From reading the article, the numbers, they were decent, but, it's not enough. They only increase in marginal areas just by 1%. I do like that this year's draft was the most viewed draft in the WNBA history, with a little bit over 400,000. Now that's good that the draft viewership is going up, but as for game viewership of ESPN and NBA TV and things like that, it only increased a little bit by 1%, but they can always use more.
Real quick, I'm going to get to some of the numbers here, folks, real quick, about the WNBA's growth, real quick for you folks. In the television ranks, the WNBA regular season on ESPN averaged 235,000 viewers. It was up 2% from last season. The WNBA draft, as Shorty alluded to, was the most viewed in network history, averaging 413,000, up 9% from 2013. And NBA TV registered its most viewed WNBA regular season up 4% from last season after recording its second most viewed on opening night last season. Now, Short and Crystal, real quick. Now, the one that made me go crazy a bit was in arena attendance. That the Mercury led all teams in attendance at 11.7%. But then, Shorty, somehow the Bill Laimbeer Retirement Home in New York City raked in a 25% increase in MSG attendance, and then the Washington Mystics topped that at 7%, and then they averaged about 7,500 people per game. Now, Shorty, you know that the Liberty, who have outdated players on dead batteries, that they would draw 25% more fans. What does that sort of like attribute to, knowing that there are more and more people getting involved in this product here for the first time in basically what seems like forever?
When it comes to the Liberty, I say location, location, location. The move back to Madison Square Garden did the trick. I mean, when they were in New Jersey, I mean, I've been hearing Liberty fans complain for the longest. I mean, they've been wanting to go back to MSG for years now, and for them to finally have that opportunity, the diehard Lib fans came back and came out in droves, as they don't have to travel far now all the way to New Jersey. They can stay in their New York area and visit Madison Square Garden to see the Libs play.
Crystal, when you hear about, the Liberty, who had a down season, bringing 25% more attendance, what does that sort of attribute to in your mind about league attendance right now going up in the league?
That's the thing that you do have fans when you say that they're teams. There could be more teams and more places. I want to see more than just a playoff playoff. I love that. That is pretty good at big for a WNBA team.
Shorty, as we move on here now to a thing that all three of us here use, which is social media, of course. The league social media community had record growth with new Twitter followers up almost double and new Facebook likes up fivefold compared to last season. Overall, though, the WNBA has nearly 7 million fans and followers combined across all league, team, and player pages. Shorty, I mean, what do you think about that? We know that social media is a big part of our lives now, but knowing that this league really utilizes social media to their advantage, whether it's rapid replays on Twitter, videos on YouTube that have gained attention. I mean, what does it sort of tell you though that more fans though are connecting with their favorite team, the league, and players across social media now on Facebook and Twitter and even on Instagram now?
I say the league has done a great job, getting, fans involved in the league and involved with their teams in particular. I know that also this year the Phoenix Mercury, if I can recall, launched their own app in the iTunes store, and I think the New York Liberty also have their own app. So that is another great way to get fans involved, with their teams and, get the fans closer to their teams. I'm hoping that sometime next year maybe the Sparks can launch their own app and get all of us Sparks fans involved more with the organization as well.
Crystal, I know that all three of us are really heavily involved via social media because we always seem to talk about the shows we're on here on Twitter all the time, but when you see, though, that there's over 7 million fans and followers combined across all league, team, and player pages on Facebook, Twitter, and some on Instagram, what does that say to you about how we're connecting now with our favorite teams, players, in the league now across Facebook and Twitter and IG?
That's kind of follow the I don't know when that happened. Follow them though. I don't know why. Especially a day like this, it is good.
Shorty, we'll move on now to the WNBA across digital platforms. Fans consume WNBA content across multiple platforms, such as the league website, on mobile, center court, and team sites, which with the league receiving over 37 million pages viewed during the regular season, while the WNBA YouTube channel surpassed 11 million all-time videos viewed, growing 40% since the end of last season. So, Shorty, I mean, it seems like social media did a bit of factor. Also, the WNBA, I mean, basically uploads the highlights of every game played on one night. They have exclusive interviews, feature stories, all-access stories, roundtables. I mean, so it seems like that more so it's on the media side that there's been a lot of growth more so for the 2014 season.
Yes, most definitely. The WNBA video section and YouTube and other platforms like that, has definitely, been getting the fans involved. I'd say the trend basically, I'd say got noticed during last year's playoff game during the Western Conference Finals and the whole DT kiss on Simone and things like that. I mean, that video alone got, over 7 million viewers. So, yes, I mean, since last year, I mean, the video section, for the WNBA and on YouTube, I mean, it's been definitely getting a lot of views. I mean, fans, going back and forth, checking out highlights and interviews and things like that. So they've been doing good in that department.
Now, guys, we're going to move on here to the article from ESPNW that was written about the Sparks and Magic Johnson. This was written by Ramona Shelburne of ESPNLA.com. The idea for Magic Johnson is for Magic Johnson to get far enough away from all of the business and teams and people and things he is plugged into on a daily basis. Get him on a plane and fly him to Europe, then get on a yacht and sail around the Mediterranean for a month. Then give contact information only to those who know how important it is for Johnson to get away from the sports and business empire he has built since retiring from the NBA. That's the idea, anyway. Getting Johnson to actually disengage from it all is another matter. He tweets constantly, and he has game film of the two teams he owns in Los Angeles, the Dodgers and the WNBA Sparks, sent to him. When the Lakers asked if he'd be a part of their pitch to Carmelo Anthony, he called in even though it was nearly 11 p.m. off the coast of Italy. On June 29th, he tweeted a picture of himself jet skiing. On July 1st, while docked on his cruise, he laminated saying, "I love that I'm on vacation, but I hate that I'm missing my Dodgers play so well," close tweet. He tweeted about the Sparks while he was away, too, congratulating Candace Parker and Neko Ogumike for making the All-Star team and to the whole team after a big win in Connecticut on July 14th. But what he was seeing in all those game films that were being sent to him wasn't much to cheer about. The Sparks just couldn't put it together. The same team that went 24-10 the previous two seasons was languishing below 500 and in danger of missing the playoffs. The team that Johnson, Dodgers president Stan Kasten, and chairman Mark Walter have rescued from possible contraction and relocation in the offseason was a flop. Magic's comment reads, "We're saying that we had too much talent to be playing that bad. I expected more. The fans expected more. I just said, hey, man, we got to make a change. We can't keep going like this. You can see the players were not responding. We can't keep going like this. And when the players are not responding, you've got to make a change," close quote. Johnson contacted Kasten and Eric Holloman, who's the president of Magic Johnson Enterprises, and told them it was time for a coaching change. So much for the idea of going around the WNBA that Johnson wasn't going to be an active owner. Carol Ross, who had been coach of the year just 2 seasons earlier, was fired back on July 21st and replaced by GM Penny Toller. This kind of drastic move hadn't been in anyone's plans when Johnson's group bought the team in February. They planned to sit back and evaluate things first, take it slow at first, just as they did when they took over as owners of the Dodgers a month into the season in 2012. Dodgers president Stan Kasten, quote, says, "We came in so late. The season was upon us by the time we got here. That's why you haven't seen us holding big press conferences or making a big media splash. This year, we're tried to do the blocking and tackling," close quote. They put up Sparks billboards outside of Dodger Stadium and fixed up the Sparks home locker room as a gesture, Kasten said, of, quote, "how seriously we take this." But he added, "Really, you haven't seen a lot of it yet." The big changes, the same kind of spare no expense, shock and awe treatment the group has given the Dodgers since taking over, those were supposed to come in the offseason. Unlike in baseball, the WNBA has a set salary cap, so the Sparks can't just go out and buy the best players in the game like the Dodgers have done in amassing the highest payroll in Major League Baseball in the past 2 seasons. But Johnson was too competitive to wait. He'd watched the game films and wanted to throw something. Magic's quote reads that there's 2 things I know, basketball and I know business. When I look at a game, I look at it totally different than anybody else. I don't mind turnovers, but I don't like unforced turnovers. We were too good to have the kind of unforced turnovers I see every time I look up. The other day in the game against Seattle, we got beat backdoor 4 times. You cannot allow those things to happen, close quote. Nneka Ogwumike shook her head when she tried to explain why the Sparks had struggled so badly this season. She has never been a part of a team that has underachieved like this at any level. Nneka's quote reads that we had team meetings, heart to hearts, and come to Jesus, everything. I think it's a combination of a whole lot of things, which is probably why no one can identify exactly what the issue is. We've suffered and had to work through poor effort, mental toughness, discipline, chemistry. It's just been different things throughout the season, close quote. And when management stepped in to make a coaching change, the team understood. Ogwumike also said that it was a serious move, no question about it, but the organization is very professional about it. They got down to business. They want nothing but championships for us, no matter what's happening. That's definitely the attitude we sense. While the move was meant to shake things up, Toller isn't the long-term answer as coach. She has stated publicly that she does not want to coach beyond the season, but she built this team, so it's on her to fix it as the Sparks open the playoffs in Phoenix on Friday. Penny Toller's quote reads, "The ownership was like the team needs more of your personality. They need your toughness and competitiveness, so can you go down there and coach them?" Toller likes building the team, not coaching it. So this will not be a career change, but the experience has been valuable nonetheless. Johnson did say he has already received dozens of phone calls from coaches who are interested in the coaching job. Penny's quote does read that I've never thought about coaching. I like being the GM. I'm learning a lot that I'll take back up to my spot as GM. As a GM, you put the team together and you're around, but now I'm seeing the players in their element. Now I'm in the locker room, seeing people's real personalities now, getting a good look at people, a real good look at people. He makes no attempt to hide her frustration with the Sparks' lack of effort and discipline this season, saying the hard part was just learning the plays. Once I got to look at the plays, the stuff they were running wasn't bad. It was just the energy needed to be picked up. The Sparks went 6-6 in the month that Toller took over, which is a bit misleading because of the schedule they had. They had to play 5 games in 7 nights, 3 back-to-backs, and 7 of those games were against playoff teams. But while they played with more energy and responded well to the coaching change, the issues which started this funk remain. Candace Parker says she is tired of everybody saying how much talent we have. In years past, we had a lot of talent, and we just won games because of it. We didn't win games by reversing the ball, making the extra pass, by locking down defensively and having set defensive schemes. So I think those things we're getting away with the last couple of years have caught up to us and are the reason we're losing the last minutes of games. There's 10 games this year that probably could have gone the other way. And if we had won those 10 games, everybody would be like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so great." But we wouldn't have been great. We're still doing the same things we were doing before, and those things have to change before we're going to become great, close quote. As we all know, Candace Parker has been named a WNBA MVP twice in her 7 seasons in the league, but is still chasing her first championship. Some of that is in part bad luck with injuries. Some of it as a result of the league's best of 3 playoff series, which tend to produce upsets. But a lot of it is the Sparks' reliance on talent and under evaluation of coaching, chemistry, and discipline that she's not afraid to mention publicly if it'll help change things for this year or in the future. The former Tennessee star said pretty point blank, "I need to win." But I think we need to talk about the things we have to do that are necessary to win. Rebounding is a huge issue for us this season. We've been giving up some career highs. Now moving on here real quick, in regards to 2015. Magic Johnson spoke with Candace Parker that the Sparks will be hiring a top-flight coach as soon as the season is over, as well as bringing in a brand new team president. Magic has even asked her for her opinion on some of the people they're considering. Magic's quote reads that I talked to Candace for like 10 to 15 minutes the other day and said, you tell me what kind of coach we need. We're going to sit down after the season 2. Candace has been my favorite player before I even bought this team. Her knowledge of the game and her ability to put the ball on the floor and make a play not only for herself but for her teammates is just amazing. We'll build around her. I'm going to be like late Lakers owner Dr. Jerry Buss was. Listen to your players, get input, make your decisions. Dr. Buss let me have plenty of input. I'm taking a page right out of his book, close quote. Well, guys, I know I probably put you all to sleep there with that last article. I basically got through the big chunks of it. But, Shorty, okay, knowing, though, again, that we know that Penny Toller is not the long-term answer here, and she even, again, Aaron Fishman on Twitter even, Shorty, got a quote from Penny saying, I don't want to be in this position next season. So, Shorty, we'll go on about Penny real quick here. Now, your thoughts, though, again, that this was basically, Toller as a rental, basically, for the season. But, Shorty, what are your thoughts, though, knowing that the Sparks have already gotten about 12 phone calls from coaches that are interested in coaching the Sparks next season? What's your thoughts, though, about the coaching position first before we move on to anything else?
I'd say that is tremendous how 12 coaches have already contacted Magic for the head coaching position. So that is a good thing to hear for us Sparks fans. Just the thing that, of course, we're all wondering in the back of our minds is who were those 12 coaches that called up Magic? We're hoping that it's no one that we don't want to hear from, because then that would be really bad. But, I mean, just to hear that, people, not people, but coaches, are in 12 at that many, that amount already is looking to coach the Sparks. I mean, that is great for all of us to hear.
Crystal, what do you think here? Okay, 12 people already in line for the coaching vacancy. What is your thought about this?
I'm one of them. I asked I think it's for don't you know that LA is a really, really, really good market, and I just hope I can or at least somewhat decent coach. I don't want to hear no good again. I don't know. I trust Magic.
Shorty, I've got one name I can throw out right now that I think would be the best fit, and I want to get your take on this. And I think it's a guy you know very well. Coach Dave Miller. What do you think?
I am all for it 100%. He has the basketball mind, 25 years of coaching experience. He knows the game. He knows the women's game, and I think he'd be a great fit for the Sparks.
Crystal, what do you think? Dave Miller from Telemark Cable Sportsnet. What do you think?
2 words. Yay, yay. The only thing is you can't do it, though. You can get excited over it, but if you really look at it, it's not our magic. I think that's just right. Get those players right. Make appearances on their country.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so Shorty, we'll move on here now to the point, or to the thing, though, that, of course, made my ears perk up and stuff, is that Magic Johnson assuring Candace Parker that the team is going to be getting a top-flight coach. But Shorty, real quick, though, your thoughts about the Sparks getting rid of Vince Malcolm, who's been the longtime team president, though? I mean, there's talk of a new team president. What about that?
To be truthfully honest, I'm not fully aware of what he's been doing behind the scenes, but if Magic feels like there's need to be a change to bring in someone better, then I am all for it.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, possibly next team president, Shorty?
I'll take it. Lisa, I'll take it.
Yes, I think Lisa is the best fit. Now, getting back to what we were talking about here, now, Shorty, the best part, now, of course, thing that really made me smile from ear to ear and go crazy is hearing that Magic is going to build the team around Candace Parker. So basically here, Shorty, this is like, okay, Magic's giving Candace all the controls, and she's going to do her best to get the team there. But again, Shorty, this is just like what Dr. Buss did with the great, Laker teams of the past, was he would get input from his players, like, okay, what do we need to address here? And do you think, though, this will work, though, that Candace Parker has basically all the control in the world in her to name her coach and basically name who plays with her next season, basically?
I say yes. Yes, I mean, not to bring up another subject, but I mean, this helps in regards to maybe CP wanting to possibly play somewhere else. If she's given full control over the Sparks, as far as the Sparks home front, then I think she would be willing to, stay and work with, Magic and, give her input on how she feels and what she wants implemented within the team next season. I mean, this year, like I already previously brought up, I mean, she did recommend Sandrine Gruda to the team, so that was, step one. Step two is even giving her more input on the team's future, and I say that bodes well for the Sparks.
Crystal, what do you think? I mean, at this point in time, as Candace alluded to in her first quote, which read basically, those 4 words of "I need to win." Is this a stepping stone for that Magic is going to work with Candace to basically establish a team that will be, hopefully in the WNBA Finals in 2015?
I think it is. A lot of older teams I think she's really looking at things like Cody said. She wants to do this to be different. So who knows? Maybe she's carrying the team. Maybe she'll give her a pass. I think really doesn't like that, but no cardio for the
Shorty, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Magic and Parker sat down tomorrow at Staples Center and go over the blueprint already, because I think Crystal and Shorty, that with Magic saying this, that there is a blueprint for the future. Now, the future basically is going to be that Magic keeps Parker in Los Angeles. Shorty, I was even DM'd by Raylan on Twitter, who was asking me if I knew when Parker's contract went up, and I told her that I didn't know because, as we know, Sparks keep everything in-house and it's not exposed to the media. But Shorty, you brought the good point, though, that with Magic basically giving Parker Captain Spock's, captain's chair on Star Trek, that this is going to give her the full control to name her coach, and basically, say that everyone but her should be traded away to somewhere else to bring in new pieces. So what do you think, though, going forward about, as we think about 2015, what do you think, though, that Candace and Magic will talk about at their meeting either tomorrow or sometime before she goes to ECAT?
I think they will definitely, first and foremost talk about, what will be their game plan for next season, what are they going to do? And after that, I think they will talk about personnel moves, player movement. Who does she want to bring in? And interestingly enough, who does she want to go? And, I think she'll also have some input, as far as for office, moves on, who they should bring in, to work with the team, as possibly even consultants. So I say those are just a number of things that they're going to talk about tomorrow.
Shorty, this just popped in my head real quick that it wouldn't surprise me a bit if Candace put a bug in Magic's ear to bring Lisa back into the team in some fold, because, that Lisa basically groomed Candace her rookie season and basically, passed that torch on to Candace after she retired in 2009. And also, I think as well that it should be brought up as well that this was addressed too by Ryan Rucco and Rebecca Lobo on the broadcast night about Sandy Brondello coaching Candace over in Ekaterinburg during the offseason. Shorty, why not bring Olaf Lang in as a consultant with the Sparks? I know he's probably has been in some fashion. I think you told me that perhaps, but we'll get to the first task hand though, Shorty. Do you think though that Candace would probably ask Magic to bring Lisa back since Lisa basically helped groom Candace her rookie season before she passed the torch to her in 2009? What do you think about Lisa? If Candace would let Lisa back into the fray?
I say she would. I say she would because, remember, as we all hopefully didn't quickly forget, she was once part owner of the Sparks organization before the team sell. And then her and Magic, was supposed to discuss a new role that she would possibly have within the organization, but they didn't get to it this season. So I say for next season, CP will, sit down with Magic and she could possibly direct him to add Lisa as team president or the GM. So she could be either one of those two. As for Lang, he was a consultant for the team last year when his wife, Sandy Brondello, was the assistant coach. So I'm not sure if he would be willing to be a consultant again. It's possible, but he was a consultant last year for the team.
Crystal, what do you think? As much as we loved Lisa on the court when she played, and then when she's been a great ambassador for the WNBA and for the Sparks. She's basically at every home game sitting courtside. Is it time, though, that Candace, in some fashion, puts a bug in Maddox's ear that she has to come back into the front office or player personnel in some fashion next season?
I agree. I think that suggestion is good. I think that's a good idea to have Lisa Davis. I work with her. She's one championship ever. She's pretty much responsible for the game. And I think better to do it. I don't see.
Shorty, Magic brought up about Lisa in the first in that press release I read, but Shorty, there's two more people I think that Magic might consider who were very close friends of his growing up, or not really growing up, but over in LA, and that would be the McGee sisters. Do you at all believe that perhaps that with Magic having the background that he has with them, will they perhaps be on board, perhaps in a small role at all, perhaps? Or what do you think?
I can definitely see that. I can see the McGee sisters, or possibly at least Pam McGee, somewhere in the front office. I know that for right now, I'm not fully sure because she is right now currently managing her son's career, which is current NBA player JaVale McGee. She is currently managing his career, so I'm not fully sure if she would take a break from him just to come over to the Sparks, but it's definitely a possibility. And I could see not only Pam, but possibly a number of other former Sparks being brought in, as staff in the front office. So I can definitely see it.
Shorty, I was going to address one more thing with you. Do you believe that? And this is the thing that Chris and I have talked about on a weekly basis. Is knowing that Magic is in charge now, would we possibly see any Showtime Lakers involved in any fashion with the Sparks anytime soon?
That is a good possibility. I can see a former Laker being, somewhere in the front office. I know Rick Fox attended a game this year, so did AC Green. So, yes, I can see possibly either one of those two or someone else, stepping in, becoming a part of the front office.
Crystal, what do you think? I know that you're the biggest Chicago Bulls fan living in Los Angeles, but do you think that any Showtime Lakers would probably get involved with the Sparks at all, perhaps, or no?
Possibly. I wouldn't. So And I think the only short-term really involved possibly, I mean, anything is possible.
Now, Shorty, I just pulled up the Sparks roster. We're going to kind of go through what players were on the team this season and see what we think, what their, if they would be here or if they would be gone for the 2015 season. Now, you got to remember here that Magic is going to be building this around Candace Parker, and this is going to be Parker's team. So, Shorty, we'll start with Elena Beard first. What do you think? Is she staying or is she going?
I say that is a 50-50 because I do know that Elena Beard will be an unrestricted free agent this season. So it's a possibility, based off her play, if Magic will want to retain her or allow her to walk.
All right, Crystal, what do you think? Elena Beard, staying or going? What do you think?
I'm with Jordy. Unfortunately, I hope she stays because I love AD, but I'm with Jordy. And we have to take into consideration, like you said, is they're trying to build a thing around Magic. So they might try to do this year. How much time does AD have left? Injured and all that. But I would hope to see her come back. I would hope to see Magic working inside her. I agree with Jordy.
All right, staying or going, guys. Up next is Candace Wiggins. Now, we know that she missed pretty much 3/4 of the year because of a torn meniscus. I think she stays for one more year because this was basically a year that basically got away from her because of her injury. And I think if you're looking at three-point shooters, she's probably one of the best ones to come off the bench and shoot the three ball. Okay, Shorty, staying or going? Candace Wiggins, what do you think?
Well, I will say quickly before I answer that, when I, make my opinions, I'm going to be considering in contracts. So as for right now, I do not know the contract terms of Candace Wiggins, but I say based on her play, I mean, sadly, she, dealt with a meniscus injury. Therefore, she wasn't able to show us enough, but LA is her home, San Diego to be exact, so I say there's a possibility that she may return next season.
Don't forget, folks, we're changing the name of the city to Candace San Diego sometime very soon. I'm putting that on the ballot down here in San Diego in about 2 years. Crystal, what do you think? Candace Wiggins staying or going? Staying or going? What do you think?
I'm going to make the side there too, like Jordy. I'm basing my like sort of contract and leads and stuff like that. I'm not basing it on fate of a player or anything like that. And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like Shorty. If she was injured and you did that, even before she got injured, her game had good on it. So, this is great. All the injuries and the cause of offensive images, a little bit. I think she's actually not doing the things other than that, I don't know. If she was brought up,
Shorty, I think this next player is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, which would be, of course, Candace Parker not going anywhere because basically they're going to be working the team around her. Up next would be Sandrine Gruda. Now, we know that Candace played a big role, Shorty, in getting her to Los Angeles for the 2 draft picks they sent to the Sun for her rights. So is Sandrine Gruda, Shorty, staying or going?
That is a tough one, and for her, sadly, I do not know about her contract situation, but yeah, CP did recommend, her to, the team and brought her over here from Connecticut. So it'll be all up to Sandrine, but I'd say she may stay.
All right, we have a May stay. Crystal, what do you think? Gruda staying or going? What do you think?
I think it's up to Gruda. I would think she would want to stay because she really likes to get her situation in Connecticut. Kind of why she hadn't been playing for a while. So I would think she would stay. I would think so.
Now, I think all 3 of us here would clean sweep the board about if this person is going, perhaps, which would be Lindsey Harding, who had a very, very down season this year, which was a downward spiral for LH10. Very, very unpredictable year. A bad shooting season, one that she's probably that she wants to forget like right now. But sure, I think we can all agree that she might be going. But what do you think, though? Is Lindsey Harding staying or going?
I hope she is going. I mean, she had a great 2013 season, but this year, not so much. As far as her contract, the thing is with her, I think she's still under contract, so if she were to go, it would be through trade.
All right, Crystal, do you clean sweep the board here? Is Lindsey Harding staying or is she going? What do you think?
Because Lindsey Harding's known history of staying a place for 2 years and leaving.
Yes.
Like Shorty, I don't know about her contract, but I think Lindsey Harding is moonwalking up out of LA.
Quite literally. So we'll move on. Okay. The moonwalking part, I think, sold us all. Now, we're going to get to Faria Abdi, guys, again, who, as we know, 2 years in the league, no real gameplay except when the games are either out of control for the Sparks or they're up by a lot. Personally, I think they could probably get something for a young player, but I think that she might stay one more year. But, Shorty, what do you think? Faria Abdi staying or going?
Faria Abdi, I mean, I say she had a lot of promise coming in, but I don't think LA is interested in developing her like I thought they would. Therefore, if they cannot at least get a second or third round pick for her, I would imagine that she would be waived during training camp.
Yeah, I think we would agree on that part. Crystal, what do you think, though? Is Abdi, your girl, staying or going?
I think that Abdi's out of here. I think, I'm not sure they didn't. I think they need to develop her, but it didn't quite go to me. I think her way away. Gonna be cha-cha slide.
Now, guys, we're going to move on here to someone who had off-the-court problems for the season, which would be Kristi Toliver. Again, we know was marred for the departure to Slovakia during the first week of June. Shorty, I don't know. I mean, the Sparks got her in a trade in 2009 from the Sky. I mean, she's played her career here. She's pretty much flourished here in Los Angeles. I mean, one more year I think might be good for KT at least, as long as there's no more problems coming up. I think she stays, but what do you think, though? Is KT staying or going?
Kristi is the perimeter engine that makes the Sparks go. She has one more year left on her contract. She will stay.
Crystal, what do you think? KT staying, or is she on her way out of here as well?
Yeah, I'm thinking KT staying. I'm gonna start a KT stay in California campaign. She's not going nowhere. I don't know after her
Now, I think this next person is going to be for sure staying in LA, which would be Arminty Harrington. Only reason why I say that, though, Crystal and Shorty, is because between her and Candace Wiggins, you have public enemy A and B on defense. And like I tweeted out tonight during the game was a blowout, yes, but Minty was still out there playing defense, falling into the first row of seats, still having her whole heart and soul into the game. So I think she stays more so for her defense, more so than her scoring. Shorty, what do you think, though?
The thing for me is that I want Minty to stay. I love Minty. I love her energy. Love her hustle plays that she do in the passing lanes to get those steals, and she already be at the other end of the court, ready for a layup. But the thing is, I mean, she was one of the players that was brought up during the firing of Carol Ross, and we were wondering if her and Lindsey was affected, by the firing due to, her former allegiance with Coach Ross. So I'm not sure how much of Carol Ross's firing will come into play on whether she stays in LA or decides to go somewhere else. But I would love for Minty to stay in Los Angeles.
Crystal, what do you think? I mean, we know that, Minty played her heart and soul tonight with her defense, regardless of the score of the game. Is she staying, or is she probably going just because of the, in the wake of the firing, though, of her former college coach, and Carol Ross?
I'm like her until I love Nikki. I would love for this to stay. It's kind of hard to tell, especially since, women matches have been Candace in the ladies. Now, like, a couple of other people asked about you compare that case to Tiffany to stay, but I think he'll push the mission based on injury. So I hope if he get close to missing, except Candace, I'm going to call it invitation because it's not invitation, but hope he accepts her kindness instead of.
Now, guys, we're about to move into two players back-to-back that are been considered by many Sparks fans as trade bait to bring in better players. First one would be Nneka Ogwumike, who has been in a few trade talks after the game concluded, perhaps some fictional trade clause by people that are not in this hangout, just fans in general. Shorty, I know you can get a lot of either players or cash considerations for NO, but I think that how Candace and her have gelled over the past few seasons, I mean, that's the dynamic duo for LA. I mean, that's the billboard content you put on the billboards in LA or at Dodger Stadium. That's who you market to the fan base. So I think Nneka stays. What do you think?
I mean, the reason why her name has been coming up in numerous trade talks because, fans, in the WNBA, feel that Nneka should be moved either to the bench or traded, and her removal from the team will allow CP to go back to her natural position, which is the 4th spot. But that's a dilemma because a player of Nneka's caliber, regardless of it being, kind of stuff in the post with two players playing the same position, she's a talent that you don't just give away, you don't just trade away. And it's hard, regardless of whether LA trades her, they're not going to get equal value for her in return. But overall, I don't see them trading Nneka. She is, I'd say the second franchise star in LA along with CP, so she's going to stay.
Crystal, Shorty and I kept called Candace and Nneka Batman and Robin for going back to last season when she sent us a photo of them disguised as them last playoff season. But I think this is like a high risk, high reward to a low risk, to more so a high risk, high reward gamble you take if you're the Sparks. If you roll the dice here and trade her and you don't get equal value, and she goes and throws you somewhere else, and you're stuck with a bunch of old pieces, it's going to look bad for you. So what do you think, though? Does Nneka stay and stay with Batman and Candace Parker, or is she going to be on her way out of here via trade? What do you think?
Nneka stays. Nneka is going to. And even if Candace doesn't have anything to do, why would you trade Nneka? What are you going to get? I really
Now, Shorty, the other player that I mentioned, I know there's two that have been mentioned in trade talks. The other one, though, is Jantel Lavender, who I think had her breakout season this year, like a lot of people thought she would. Now, I've heard, rumblings that he could, probably package a deal with, with Lav and Nneka to somewhere to get better pieces. But I think those two pieces have to stay in place, along with Candace Parker as Nneka, and Jantel has to stay as well. But I think, though, that with NO and Lav being here, that it sort of has thrown the LA starting 5 out of whack, where you have Parker not playing her natural position and things like that. But what do you think, though, Shorty, about Lav's future, though, in Los Angeles?
Well, quickly, just on that part, I do think it's a little bit stuffy in the post, and they cannot have that 3-post lineup of CP, Nneka, and Lav next year. No, they cannot. But as far as Jantel Lavender, I do know that next year she will be a restricted free agent. Actually, all of the 2011 draft class, which is led by Maya Moore, will all be restricted free agents next year. So I think LA will be listening to offers for Jantel Lavender, and I do think they will look for package deals to place her in. And if they receive the right deal, I do believe that Los Angeles will pull the trigger on a potential Jantel Lavender trade.
2011 draft class. Could we possibly see the MVP in LA? No, I'm just joking. So that'll never happen for a while. But Crystal, what do you think, though? Okay, we know that NECA and Lavender sort of have a price on their heads here about rumors of the trades, either single player or the package deals. What do you think, though, is her future, though, in Los Angeles?
I agree with you. I think that if the right deal comes along, maybe Lavender, but I think they're going to hold on to her. They're not going to make a deal for her. They're going to make offers and just keep it or offer good and they give her up. I would expect them to be handing out like 2 candies. So I expect her to stay in this.
Now, guys, there's one more player on the roster we have to get to before we do close out for the night here. That would be first-year rookie forward and center Nikki Green. Now, we know that Nikki and Faria were basically bench warmers and bench buddies basically all season. They would get playing time when the games were out of control for either side of the story. But, Shorty, do you think the Sparks, though, could probably package a deal for those 2 rookies to be able to get either a draft pick somewhere, cash considerations? I doubt it will work, but if the Sparks were to trade Faria and Nikki, what would they get, and also what is her foreseeable future in Los Angeles in your view?
I think they would get a bag of peanuts for Faria Abdi and Nikki Green package deal. Sadly for Nikki, I mean, she spent most of the season being a bench warmer because she was injured. She broke her nose, or Gruda broke her nose. She was breaking everyone's face this season.
Yep.
Yeah, so I say for LA, I mean, she didn't, get off the floor to show much of what she has, so they're just going to basically waive her. I would rather for them to just waive her, bring in last year's second-round pick, Jennifer Hampson, into the fold, and, see what she can do. She is 6'7", and she could possibly be our Brittany Griner stopper. We don't need Nikki Green. She can go.
All right, Crystal, you're the last one to have a word on the matter on this one. Nikki Green staying or going, what do you think?
I think you don't get. You can get a Gatorade. They're gonna offer you a bottle of Gatorade. I'm not trying to be funny or anything. Nobody's gonna want that. So I agree with you. I think, unfortunately, with this you get first shot, I think I'd rather just see her get raised. Take it and you're gonna get TV in there, you're gonna get some plastic, you're gonna get you're not gonna really get a piece of silver, you're probably gonna get next bottle, you're not gonna get
Okay, so I caught Gatorade and a bag of peanuts for Nikki Green and Abdi. Okay. I think I would rather throw in, I think you might as well throw in peanuts, a Gatorade, and a full large pizza for those 2, I think, as well, because I don't think I'll be getting anything for either of those 2 sometime soon. Shorty, real quick, you brought up Jennifer Hampson. Now, we know that she was LA's second round pick last season in the 2014 WNBA draft. What can you tell us, though, about this upcoming prospect for the Sparks? You know about her size, but so basically, give us your report about Jennifer Hampson and your thoughts about her as well.
Oh my goodness, she is a tremendous athlete, not only for her height, but she can get out on the perimeter and, hit a couple of J's here and there. So she's not basically, she's a post, but she's not just a true, back to the basket post. She can get out on the perimeter, hit the 15, the 17-foot J's. She has nice footwork, and she could bring, good things to the Sparks, and she would be a great addition off the bench, or if they if the new coach come in and wants to put her in the starting lineup and possibly put CP at the 4, that would be a great, duo, in the future for, LA. So, she's going to bring great things to the Sparks next season.
Shorty, we know that there was a problem that came up. Well, not really a problem, but something happened with Jen at BYU. Can you kind of reiterate what happened and why she was not with the Sparks this 2014 season for us?
She decided last year to forego the WNBA season because she had, this year she had remaining eligibility to play with the BYU volleyball team, to try to, win a championship with her volleyball team at BYU. So she decided to stay there, and, after, the season is over, she will report to the Sparks training camp next season.
So it looks like the future for LA will be bright with Jennifer Hansen coming in next season. Now, guys, before we close out of here for the night, again, we know that the Sparks were basically, as Chris and I put it back on the forum on this date last month, they were Cloroxed, they were pine salt and turtle wax at the home floor. Shorty, as we close for the night, your lasting thoughts on the 2014 season, and are you ready for the 2015 Sparks season to get here tomorrow?
Okay, so I'm going to be brutally honest and say that the 2014 LA Sparks season sucked. That's all I can say about it. It sucked. And, I am definitely looking forward to next season. I love hearing, with CP having full control of personnel moves. I'm just excited to see what CP will have magic to bring in next season. We also want to know what's going to happen with, front office personnel. What will happen to Penny? Who will be brought in as new team president? Where does Lisa Leslie stand in all of this? Will she be brought back in or not? The roster, who stays, who goes, who will be our new head coach, and, I'm just looking forward to 2015, plus the draft. Quickly, before I go, I want to state that Los Angeles has the 7th pick in the 2015 WNBA draft, so I'll be spending the off-season scouting and looking for who will be our best available option at number 7.
We will be sure to have your expert drafting analysis on drafting when we have our shows here. Crystal, as we head out, what are your last thoughts on the season, and are you ready for 2015 to get here already?
I'm going to be honest with you. The season is bad. I thought for a second we were going to have a good that team, I want to that team existed. The reason I'm waiting for this season is that I mean, the PPT team, I would really do my everything for managing her. I can't wait. I'm like 30. I will be watching this. I hear it going to trickle time for the team. He's a pick. I just
in a season that will forever be known as the season that could not have been for the WNBA and the LA Sparks, thanks to an off-season petition started by 2 random guys in San Diego and Anaheim, California, that got over 1,000 signatures that helped in some fashion save the WNBA and LA Sparks from contraction and or death. The 2014 Sparks season will go down as perhaps one of the worst in team history in regards to a awful home record, all-around bad play in all 34 games, and getting to the postseason with a sub-500 record and finishing 2 games below 500, and exiting for the same straight year in pretty much embarrassing fashion this year to the Phoenix Mercury in the 2014 WNBA playoffs. And the season, again, marred by a lot over the offseason. Hopes and dreams of championships were dashed during the 2014 season during a few points in the season following a departure of one player, an injury to a big puzzle piece, and a 4-game losing streak late in the month of June and July. So, folks, until tomorrow night, hopefully we can get some of these audio and video problems fixed, hopefully sometime soon. But until tomorrow night, folks, have a safe night. Drive home safely. Thank you for coming, and good night now. This has been the LA Sparks 365 Network for October 24th. And, hey, I'm holding the microphone, so why not pull up a little Bob Barker here, folks. But help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. See you guys tomorrow night. Bye-bye.